Test, test, test. Hey, guys, what's going on? You're probably wondering to yourself, Snow, another podcast already? I had to get this guy on as quick as I possibly could. I'm paying him per second, so I'm losing a lot of money, so this needs to be as fast as we can. I'm just going to ask quick, rapid fire. No, I'm just kidding. But no, guys, seriously, we have MilkViper on the podcast today. You guys can check him out on his Twitch channel. If we can get a shout out in my chat, it's !milk. Should go follow him. He just hit 10,000 followers. The man is a legend, one of my favorite streamers. Milk, thank you for joining me, dude. I appreciate it.
Hello, happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, we're going to talk about today's sort of the normal get-up we've been doing for our podcast. We're going to talk about gaming, ESO, streaming, MilkViper, all that good stuff. So, I guess the first question I really wanted to ask you, Milk, and you probably answered this before, but we need to know, where did the name MilkViper come from?
Oh, that's classified. Sorry, I can't tell anybody.
You can't. No one can know. It just has to be hidden.
No, it's funny. It's old. It's from an actual milk commercial when they used to have that rocker that did the milk commercials like ages ago. I'm talking over 10 years ago. And it was really funny because he was talking about how he gets like on this riff high and he takes a chug of milk from his milk guitar, and then the music comes out and it's like lightning. But it's venom from a viper, from a milk viper, and I was like, oh my god, putting those two words together is hilarious. I love this, and that's when I got the name.
Dude, the name is classic, and that for some reason I thought you were obsessed with milk, but you're lactose. You don't even drink milk, so you must love.
I can't. You know, I don't hate them. I've never owned one, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be like, let's go look for snakes today. It's like, you stay out there in the wild, guys, and we'll be cool.
Fair enough. I was telling them guys before the stream started, I'm horrified of snakes. It's like my one big fear. I actually had a nightmare just like 2 nights ago where there was a snake in my bed, and I jumped right out of bed. I was like, holy crap. I didn't realize how afraid I was of them. So.
That's funny. I do that with spiders. You're half asleep, and then you're like, was that a spider? Jump, turn the lights on, looking around like, where is it? Where is it? Was it in my head?
Yeah, like the dream was like there was like a snake in a jar, and then the snake got out of the jar, and then I'm awake, and I felt something. I swear I felt something move on my feet, and I jumped out of bed so fast. Exactly, you said, turned on all the lights, moved the cushion, moved the bed, had to check everywhere for it. So, but people love the name. The other thing I really want to talk about with you was just sort of gaming in general. So, how long, or when did you get into gaming, and sort of like what got you into gaming, I guess?
Like my gaming history, or where it became something that I was really invested in?
Let's start with the beginning. Was it like something, do you have like a sibling that got you into gaming? For me, it was my parents who got me into gaming. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on the beginning.
It was an uncle of mine. He had the Atari 2600, and it had the roll ball. So I would sit there and I would just hit the ball, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Whatever I hit, it moves on the TV. And I was like, I need more of this. And he was the one that would be like, look, I got my Sega. He was like, when he got his PlayStation, he was like, look, I got the PlayStation. And I was like, these are all amazing. Why can't I have these?
Were your parents, did they not allow it? Or did you guys just was not something like the family was interested in? Or, because my parents thought video games were the devil's brew. So I didn't have them for a while.
No, my dad was like, you're the only one that's going to be using it. Like, what about your brother and sister? I'm like, well, I'll play too. And they're like, we don't want it. And so it was 2 against 1. So he's like, nah, you don't need it now. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's fair. That's fair. In my family, it was the PS4 and the Xbox, and we only ever had one. So it was PS4, or PS2 was the first console, because both my brothers wanted it, and I wanted the Xbox. So I had to wait till 360 for, like, my birthday.
Oh, well, at least you got it.
Eventually. It was a little bit later, but, and then you just kind of, like, when was the first console that you owned, and, like, what was the first game you owned?
The first console I ever owned was actually an NES. It was a secondhand NES from one of my neighbors. It was a friend of mine as a kid, and his dad was selling it because he wanted to buy his kid something else, and my dad was like, yeah, sure, we'll take it. And so I went for Nintendo, and me and my brother played the crap out of it, and then it died. And then it went a while with no games, and then I ended up getting the Saturn because someone owed me money. They're like, I'll give you the Saturn. I was like, okay, I'll play this. And I was like, this is fun. And then I actually got a PlayStation, and I was like, whoa, check this out. And all I had was the demo disc for ages, and all I played was Gran Turismo and Metal Gear Solid in Japanese. And I was like, this is the coolest stuff ever. Wait till I get a real game. And it just took off from there, and I was just like, I need more of these.
I feel like, too, the PlayStation was like so much more of like an adult system. Like the Nintendo was cool, but it had like a lot of like cartoony Mario. group player games. But then I remember when I got the PS2 and I had friends who had like the Nintendo, I was playing the PS2 and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much more adult. Like the what is it, Snake? Is that's his name? I forget those games now. But it felt like the PlayStation was much more for older kids, and it felt cooler playing it for some reason, at least to me.
Oh, no, definitely, because they had the Twisted Metal. They had the games that Nintendo didn't touch because Nintendo was like, no, man, it's Mario and we're friends. And PlayStation was like, you want to set someone on fire in a truck? Yes. So yeah, it was definitely catered towards a more teen audience, and Nintendo was like, hey man, you like the Pokemans? You want to be 12 or something like that? It was interesting.
For some reason, I feel like too, at least, so I'm 23. I feel like people who are around my age, we were like one of the first generations to get games that we shouldn't have gotten at our age. Like I was playing like Grand Theft Auto at way too young of an age, and I felt like parents were much, I don't know, I find older generations like much more strict, and kids, when I talk to them, especially in this podcast, people will be like, well, either they weren't allowed to touch them, or I was playing them at such a young age that they were just handed to me. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird, like the PS2 being in so many young children's palms at such a young age.
I don't think I was very young. I mean, during my era, Mortal Kombat was on the news. So like, does this make your kid a homicidal maniac? And it was like, no, it's just go to the arcade, kick someone's butt, and come home. So that's like, violent video games back then was Mortal Kombat knocking people's heads off, and that's what we were playing. And my parents were totally okay with it. My mom loved it. She loves martial arts, so she was just like, kick his butt, and I'm like, okay, mom, calm down.
Yeah, who was it? It's the Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat. My stepdad actually just got like the remastered NES. Like it has an HDMI port in the back, and so it actually goes into like a new TV, and it has like 20 games on it. It has like the old Mario Kart, the old Zelda game, and it has like one of those fighting games, and like my family loves it. So I don't know where that attached to, but to your mom liking Mortal Kombat, my mom loves those games. She has like a bad day at work. She comes home, she goes, play me in, I forget the name of the game. She'll be like, play me in the game, and then she'll try to like beat me up in there. So maybe it's a good therapeutic release. I don't know.
There you go. That works.
But also now, what got you into Elder Scrolls? What was your first Elder Scrolls game?
Now this is a funny story. I went into a GameStop a long time ago, and I really fell in love with Fable, the Fable 1. I really enjoyed it. And I remember I went in there and I was looking around, the guys like, can I help you? I was all, I kind of want to play a game that was like Fable, where you can make choices and there's combat, like medieval-esque. And he handed me Oblivion. He was like, check this out. And I was like, what's this? He was all, it's a really cool game. It's really huge. You might love it. Check it out. If you don't worry about it. So I went home and I put a couple hours into it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. Nope. And then I put that back. And then years later, Skyrim was coming out. My friend's like, yo, you're going to love Skyrim. You're going to love it. Check it out. And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, come on. And I was like, fine. I bought Skyrim and I put 1,400 hours into it. And I was like, this has to be one of the greatest games ever made. These people are geniuses. And, I went and looked back at Oblivion again, played it, and I never beat it. I still have it on my PC and I still haven't beaten it. But it's just like, wow, giant open world where I can literally do whatever I want. These are amazing. And then the lore, and you find the books and you read about the Daedra, the Aedra, and things that are going on. It's like, this is awesome. And I just stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, when people ask me about like why ESO, why Elder Scrolls, I'm like, because you literally feel like you're in a different universe. Like the amount of attention to detail they put towards their lore and stuff, especially in Skyrim, it's like over 800 freaking books. It's like, oh my god, someone took the time to write these. Like that's got to be like the most underappreciated job of all time. So I definitely agree, and Skyrim was actually my first one as well. I don't even consider myself a gamer until I played Skyrim. I really didn't know what I liked in video games. I would just play like Minecraft with my friends, play Halo, Call of Duty, but when I played Skyrim, I was like, holy crap, I don't even want to go to school today. I don't like like I don't want to do anything else. And the other thing too is I don't know how many times I bought it. I don't know about you, but I owned it for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PC I think it was Anthology, the PC Special Edition, like all these different purchases. It's insane how many times they've re-released that game.
Dude, yeah, playing it on the Samsung fridge. Oh man, when you're getting those ice, you just hitting them buttons.
Todd Howard, he said it at it wasn't PAX, what was it called? E3. He said, we'll stop selling it when you guys stop buying it. It's like every time they re-release it, people just go crazy. They want it for the next thing. It came out for the Switch just recently, and people were like, stop doing this. And then he was like, no, people still want it. So And I feel like the
I love
modding
it.
community keeps it fresh as well. There's always a new mod I'm trying out if I'm bored or something. So
Oh yeah, the mining community keeps games like that have the flexibility to have that many mods when they're alive, because it's kind of a fresh experience when you install or remove mods, and it changes the world for you and changes combat. So every time it's like, whoa, this is completely different. I love this. It's a feel, it's a good feeling experience. I always tell people you can never go home again when it talks about games, how they want remasters and remakes of the old ones. But I feel with mods you can kind of get that little semblance of like, ooh, a fresh experience with some familiarity.
Exactly. And some of those mods add like different stories. Like I remember there was one, I forget the name, but it was like of an old Dwemer ruin, and it was this really fleshed out story that this modder worked on, and it felt like a DLC. I was like, oh my gosh! Like, and it's nice that Bethesda releases all the code, all the ways to mod it, so people can go in and do that. It's actually genius. Keeps the game very relevant. So I agree. The other thing. Now let's talk about the big bad. Let's talk about Elder Scrolls Online. So, were you in it when it first came out? Did you come and do it a little later? Give us the ESO story.
What's Elder Scrolls Online? What's that?
Dude, it's this MMO. It has this community. I don't know. Just take your best guess.
Elder Scrolls Online, again, I remember reading it in a Game Informer, I think it was from GameStop, and I was like, what the hell is this? An Elder Scrolls MMO? What? Like, that kind of blew me away. I was like, all right, I like the Elder Scrolls franchise, I like the lore, but I don't know about MMOs, because my only experience with MMOs back then was like RuneScape, and then this failed one that was on Xbox. Started with the D. I don't remember the rest of it, but it had Deviance? Defiance.
I've never
Yeah,
played
I played
it, so
that. Oh, it was butts, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, but I was really like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep following along the information, see how it went, and they started doing betas. And I was like, oh, crap. I kind of want to get into this. And so I signed up for the betas. I got into them. I was like, holy crap. I had no clue what to do because my beta was like, Skyrim Online. First character ever made on the beta. Dark Elf, Nightblade, bow user. You can go ahead and beat the crap out of me. It's fine. It's the first dude I ever used. Couldn't kill anything. Died left and right. Was like, okay, maybe I need to rethink this. This game is really hard. And then every subsequent beta, I would try different characters, and I was like, okay, it's getting better. I'm not dying as much. And then when the game came out to full release, I was like, yeah, Imperial Templar, because, I'm about the Imperial Edition. And let's just say that at Veteran Rank 2, I was like, yeah. But I was in it way back when. Like, there's stuff I can remember that nobody to this day will have ever seen unless you were there.
Yeah, I was
really cool.
I was a beta tester too, and I remember me and my friends got on, and I got on like a little late. And I couldn't catch up to them because you remember everything was scaled. So like certain areas, if you ran into it too low a level, you were done. You had to stay. I was EP at the time. You had to stay in Stonefalls. If you tried to go anywhere else, you were screwed. And then also there was like XP drop if you were playing with someone 5 levels higher than you. So like if you're doing a quest that was 5 levels higher, you got less XP. And I was like, oh yeah. Gosh. And so I remember I got on and I just couldn't catch up. And then also the $15 a month was the hardest thing for me to swallow. I remember when we first heard that it was going to be an MMO, we were so excited, like you were. Like we were like, it sounds good, but we were like, we can play together. Because that was our one thing with Skyrim. We would always fantasize about like, what if we were able to do a quest together? Like what if we were able to do that role-playing experience, but do it together? And then when the $15 a month came out, we were all so disappointed. I didn't play. I actually didn't play till Tamriel 1, till it went free. Or a couple months before, I guess. But, I'm having a brain fart right now. I was gonna say, did you stay with the game through the whole $15 a month all the way till free to play? Like, have you left it all, or have you been basically with ESO since?
I played three or 4 months. I was paying for subscription. I stayed with it, but it was really difficult. Builds were all over the place. Stamina characters didn't exist back then. Everything was a health build. And it was just really hard unless you knew MMOs like the back of your hand. It was really hard to actually advance. And since I wasn't in any guilds that I was like, hey, let's get together and do stuff. They all had their own cliques. I was like, well, I'm out of here. I'm not having fun anymore. I'm done. And I stopped playing it. And I remember tweeting out to Firor, the director, the guy who's in charge of all it. I was like, hey, when's it coming out for console? And he tweeted back, we're coming out with some more information, stay tuned. And I was like, he legitimately tweeted at me. Holy crap. And I was like, all right, well, I'll take a look when it comes out on console. And I got an email and it was like, hey, it's coming out on console, $20. You get to clone your entire PC account over. And I was like, hey, that's a deal. Okay. And it was $20 for Xbox and PS4, so I did it on both. And I was like, all right. And then after they had one time real and I read all about it, I was like, okay, so they made it better. I would jump back in and I was, not subscription. And then I just went from there. And when I came back, I was CP 50, I think. And I was like, what the hell is CP? Because when I left, they were just talking about CP. It wasn't even anything fleshed out. When I had stopped playing ESO, it was like, we're talking about this idea about championship points. And they were explaining what they did. And to do the first trial that came out by the time I left, like Craglorn was still brand new. And so when I came back to it on PS4, I played it off stream a ton because I was like, I need to figure out what I'm doing. So I'd be researching, Googling stuff, and it was Gilliam, the rogue. I'm like, okay, well, what's he say I should do? Nightblades, not doing that. Okay, next guy. And, then I decided one day, hey, I'm going to start streaming this game. Maybe people can help me with it. And that's when it kind of just took off. When I came back to it.
It sounds like we left about the same time. I'm about the same story, except I never transferred my guys. So I left and they were talking, the champion points were out. I'm pretty sure there was a time where you got vet ranks and champ points. So you were like vet 2, champion 50. And the champ points were being allocated like the skill trees in Skyrim sort of thing. And then they eventually said, like you said, just get rid of vet ranks altogether. And then I came back a little bit later and I played on Xbox, but I didn't transfer. And I think one of the interesting things we can talk about a little bit is a lot of people, not including myself because I kind of understand why they don't, but want to have that transfer available from console to PC now. And people always bring up what you just said. Well, we were able to do PC to console when it came out. And I always think, yeah, but they probably don't have the tech or the resources to move over everyone who would want to move over. So I kind of want to get your opinion on, should we be moving people over, or do you think it's not worth it, just regrind?
Rich Lambert actually told me in chat why he said it's not feasible to do that. That he would love to, but they just can't. And he was in my chat when he said it because people were asking, and I asked him straight up, hey man, would I be able to clone my PS4 account to everything? That'd be great. And he was just like, no, we just can't do that. It was a one-time deal we did at the very beginning, and it's just not something that we can do. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
I agree. I think the thing I've talked about with a lot of people is they said maybe if just CP could be transferred, nothing else. That would, for me, that would be huge. Because, you can go regrind your gear, but again, like you said, they're literally working on a DLC every quarter. I feel like Somerset came out and we're already talking about, Meyer. It's no time to even sit on it, so I bet they're busy, so that's fair enough.
That's just the nature of MMOs. That's the funny thing about MMOs is, as far as the content release, they come into this cycle where big expansions. Let's put DLC. Let's put a fancy name on it. It's all DLC. It's all downloadable content. But hey, let's throw out this big expansion. Okay, people play it, and then they either burn through it, don't care about it, and then what's the next piece? The next one comes out, they're oh, you're putting out either one, too many, or you're not fixing the bugs from the last one, and you're bringing in new bugs. So it's a vicious cycle.
It really is, and I think for a lot of the people who were Elder Scrolls players, it's a hard pill to swallow. It was tough for me to swallow at first, and I was going to ask you about this as well, is ESO, obviously, their whole thing was, hey, we're going to be for Elder Scrolls players and MMO players. We're going to bring the two communities together. I'm always interested, do you think it is more Elder Scrolls catered or more MMO catered? And I'm not going to tell you what I think because I'm very interested to hear first.
It is definitely more MMO catered.
All right, good.
It is extremely heavily MMO catered with light ESO lore sprinklings on top of it. And that's something that people have to understand if they come to it from the previous Elder Scrolls franchises. You can't jump into this game and act like you're in Skyrim. It's just the combat system, the way it works, your skills, your resources, it all doesn't work like that. So if you try to approach it and then you're like, wow, this game's not fun, it's like, okay, stop thinking it's Oblivion or Morrowind or Skyrim and say, oh, it's an MMO. Hey, look at that. It's Vivek. What's up? High five. I remember you. That's how you have to look at it. You can't come at it as an Elder Scrolls game with MMO pieces. It is first and foremost an MMO in every sense of the word MMO, and everything after that is just a little bit of Elder Scrolls sprinkled on top just to keep you connected to the lore.
Yeah, 100%. I've had the argument with some people who said, well, it should be more Elder Scrolls based. And I'm like, yeah, but the MMO is what's keeping it alive. The constant content, the way builds change. the way you have to play certain, like if you are a stamina DPS, if you want to have maximum damage, you have to be wearing 5 pieces of medium armor. You need those passive abilities. It's like you can't do it any other way. And I think, like you said, if you're not playing that way, you're not gonna have as much fun. And I started off playing that way when I started streaming forever ago, and I was just playing like I was a Nord heavy armor DPS, and like, does that make any sense? No. And then I was
100%.
using like spells in one hand because I was a Sork, but then I was using a two-handed weapon, and people would come in, they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's Skyrim 2, like, and obviously it wasn't. So, but then once I switched and started actually learning about builds, watching how people do things, I think that's actually makes the game more fun. I don't know about you, but I love that, so.
I mean, I like it too. I like watching people that create content. I also like creating my own builds or whatever and just having fun with it, seeing if things work. And that's the beauty of it. But you have to, like, if you want to see how things work, there's still templates and parameters that you can't go past if you want to be successful in certain content.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what
exactly. And I think when people come and ask, I'm always like, hey, maybe go watch a build, see if it works, then maybe change some things that you don't like. Then it's kind of your own, but you're fitting those parameters. So.
Yeah, man, if you want to go run around in 6 pieces of heavy with 1 weird piece of light, that's fine. With no helmet, that's fine. Just don't bother me none.
Yeah, I always say those are questing builds. Those are role-playing builds, you know, ones where you're not doing that endgame content, but you're going out and you're questing and you're listening to lore and you're kind of just doing that. Because I feel like the questing can be done by just about any build, as long as you just have some knowledge on how to use the abilities that are on your bar, even if they're not being utilized correctly. So there is space for them in the game.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things that the game has that no other game has, is kind of like, you can choose your own adventure. You can play how you want. You can legitimately play how you want. But there's certain caveats to that. Like, if you're just going to be a quester, you want to learn the lore, you want to faff around, you can be anything. You want to be that Argonian werewolf, sword and board, resto staff, DPS healing tank, do whatever you want. But as soon as you want to start doing content where it requires certain builds, then you have to pump your brakes on that, and then you have to kind of start changing towards those parameters. Otherwise, you're going to be like, I'm dying everywhere. Help me.
Yeah, and I think one of ESO's biggest problems is I don't think their questing is as good as Skyrim's or Oblivion's. And I feel like when I want to go quest, I will do it in ESO, but I find myself more rushing it to get the XP and finish it than I do in Skyrim, where I deeply immerse myself. And I don't know why that is, and it might just be me, but when it comes to the content like you're talking about, where you need to have these specific group members who are doing specific things in a certain way, I love that. I think that's what ESO excels at, because you can't do that in Skyrim. You and me can't log on in Skyrim and go do a dungeon together and get all these really cool loot and these cool skins. But in ESO we can. We just have to kind of follow some rules, because there is some form of meta, at least for each build, on what they like, the parameters you can't go out of. So,
well, as far as like the lore or the quest not being as good, they're not as fully fleshed out. But I have to give it up for the story writing for Vardenfell or Morrowind and for Somerset. They blew me away. They were actually really good. They had very good voice actors who felt they were dedicated to the roles, and it pulled you along. Where some of the characters you can throw them off a cliff and not give a crap about. I felt that a lot of the story, I was like really interested in interaction between the characters versus them standing there going, all right, Vestige, go get me lotion and rub my feet. It was more like, hey man, I'm going to talk to you about the fact that my wife and I split up because of this. And you're like, oh, okay. Ooh. And I think in that aspect, they're actually trying to create a better questing and more immersive story than the typical, hey, can you go kill 10 donkeys and bring me their butts? Cool, thanks for the 10 donkey butts, I'll see you tomorrow.
Here are my boots.
Yeah, I think they're doing a lot better than how they originally released the game, where the questing was very boring, to say the least. Like, it's just like, oh hey, our people are killing us again, can you stop them? I literally just did that 10 minutes ago. Can you do it again? Yeah, okay, I'll be back.
I agree 100%, and I was gonna say that too. I think every DLC, I even think Orsinium Dude had a great story, and that was a while ago when that came out. And I think when the people at ZOS have more time to focus on like one region, one full story with that that you can flesh out more and not add as much. Like that quality over quantity really steps up when you have these smaller DLCs come out like Somerset or Morrowind. And I do agree, the story writing is getting better, and I love that they're taking that conscious effort to say, hey, we still care about the Elder Scrolls fans, and we still want that to be important to this game. We know the MMO part is important to more people, obviously, but we want the questers, the role players, to still have really fun storyline. Like, I loved the end of the Somerset storyline. I was like, oh my gosh, like, alternate universe, what's going on right now? Like, it was insane. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, Somerset is really good.
Yeah.
We'll see how Meyer holds up.
We can talk about that actually. So I personally, and maybe it's just because Shadow of the Hist was just dungeons, I wasn't super excited at first about going back to Blackmarsh. I really wanted something to do with the Daggerfall Covenant or to do with Skyrim. That was just me though. But what were your like initial thoughts on Meyer, and are you excited for it from what you've seen?
Well, I've played it on the PTS.
Oh yeah, also PTS.
I haven't done any questing. I did the new trial arena. It's really good.
That's the 4-person one, right? Like Dragonstar?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super good. The sets and how they built the land is really nice. They actually threw color into the game, which the game is kind of bland with its browns and low greens, but it's a really pretty environment. I think it looks really cool. But until I jump into the story, I mean, it's going to be a typical story where it's like, the chosen one has come to save us. Chaos, will he get the stones in time? Kind of things. But as far as what I've seen from it, I really like it. And it's I was kind of hoping for a different area. Honestly, I wanted to see maybe elsewhere. Maybe let's go to Whiterun. Let's go, I really want them to fill out Skyrim because that was my home. That was my first Elder Scrolls. So I want to revisit my home. But since they're like, let's go with Argonians, I'm like, you know what? I'm not even mad about that because, when they release content, it's very, very humanoid centric. It's like, hey, look, these dirty elves or these dirty Nords or whatever. Now it's like these dirty Argonians. Like, oh, hey, I don't see you every day like that. Cool.
No, yeah, 100%. I agree. And that's good that they're adding color. That's actually interesting. I've never thought about. There are some very bland greens on the trees and the ground with the dirt and stuff. It's not an extremely colorful game, so it's nice they're adding that with Meyer. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for it. Like I said, I'm always the kind of person, I put my best foot forward, even if I'm not I didn't really want to go here. Because I agree. We don't have Whiterun, we don't have Markarth, we don't have Solitude in Skyrim. I'm like, man, this is some good content that would pull a lot of people back, and especially Elder Scrolls fans, because most Elder Scrolls player, Skyrim was the big daddy, the one we all burnt a good chunk of our life in. So, but hey.
That's 100% true. People are going to say, oh, it was Morrowind. No, it's not. Look at sales.
Yeah,
Skyrim
exactly.
won. Skyrim is still winning. Though people will always be like, Morrowind, this is my first. It's like your first experience in any franchise is always going to be your favorite because it's the one that was like, oh, this is amazing. Like for me, it's Skyrim. First, I played Oblivion. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm done with this. But when I jumped to Skyrim, I was like, you mean I can hold a sword and shoot fire? Okay. Where do I sign up?
So, a couple things. First of all, I was talking to Kev to it last night. I agree with that 100%. I feel like Skyrim opened up more creativity towards the new player. Well, with Oblivion, you had to pick a certain class. You got certain things from that class, so you felt like you were kind of locked down. Well, with Skyrim, you just had a perk tree, and you don't like the sword anymore? Throw it away. Just start shooting fireballs, and you'll learn it. So, I mean, some people hated that, but me personally, I thought that was genius because it made it so much more approachable for people like you and me who didn't fall in love with Oblivion. We were like, wow, this is either you get this or you don't, and if you don't, the game is butts. But with Skyrim, everyone got it, so.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it was. It was, like I say, Skyrim is very much choose your own adventure. Like all my characters in Skyrim were extremely RP focused. They each had their own individual stories, their own names. They wouldn't do use certain weapons. They wouldn't do certain things in the game, and that's what's super fun. Oblivion was cool in that aspect, but I always felt that Oblivion was too soft, if that makes any sense. It just felt, everyone was like, "Oh, I am so mad at you, but if you could give me this muffin, we're best friends." I'm like, I just stabbed your wife. Here's a muffin. We're good. Cool. Talk to you later. And it just, Oblivion was huge. I love Oblivion for how big it was, but it always felt like you were a little restricted on how you could approach it, and that's why I felt Skyrim was a lot better. And also, I was really good at modding Skyrim, so that one was which one am I going to pick?
That, yeah, definitely the mods in Sky were good. I love the Oblivion when you talk to someone, it goes so close up to their face that it was like, hi, how are you doing? And then it would go so close, it kind of broke my immersion. I was like, Jesus, that's scary. Like, especially if the NPC was ugly as all heck, and you're like, God. Like, so, I thought Skyrim fixed a lot of things. But, let's talk about what I always ask. These are questions I ask to all the people on the podcast. What is your favorite thing about ESO? Like, what's the one thing that keeps you coming back every day besides Ritz that you just really like? You can say Ritz, but I figured I had to put that in there.
You already said Ritz, so no. The community, the Elder Scrolls community is the thing that keeps me coming back to it every day, every freaking day, because they're just great people, excited about the game still, and that's something that as a content creator is fascinating to still see people excited about that. And it's super fun. They're doing the journey with you. You know, you guys are experiencing it all together, the highs and the lows. And it's just what keeps me going with this game. It was a gamble for me too, when I was like, I don't know if I should do the ESO thing. I don't know if I should stream it, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it out. And the community has been completely amazing. And I honestly think it's the best community on Twitch.
Oh, me too. And I think the way they're able to stomp out hate when someone brings it in is really great too. Being a streamer, I've had plenty of trolls come in, and the community is so good at being like, no, wrong, and then everyone wants the banhammer, and everyone just stays positive. So that's very, very solid answer.
Yeah, that was a while there where there was a lot of negativity, and ESO had a bad rap for a hot minute. They were like, oh, their community is toxic and it's hateful and blah blah blah. And then a lot of people started saying, you know, we're gonna push this out. And then now it's filled with people who are just like, you see their positivity, chill stream, come hang out, give me a high five, and it's like, whoa, this is really good. And whenever any of that negativity grows, it's immediately extinguished. Like people are just like, nope, you need to pump your brakes, son. You need to get that out of here. And then people are like, out.
Yeah, one of the best examples of that, and I really don't mean to bring up any controversy, was when I remember on Twitter at least, I saw when they announced drops for ESO team members, which by anyone who doesn't know, Elder Scrolls just picks very popular streamers for ESO and makes them part of the team, and basically they just represent ZOS. And so ZOS was like, let's let these people do some of the big giveaways. And a lot of the smaller people were like spreading a lot of hate, at least from what I saw. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, why is everyone so triggered? Like, these people worked their butts off to get where they are. It's not like they're on ZOS's payroll. And I almost tweeted about it, but I was like, I don't want to. But, like, the community in general was coming out and saying, like, hey, we need to support the big people just as we support the small people. It's not like we're against them. Like, let's help them out. And it was really awesome to see that.
Well, I remember Inklings was talking about that. How he was getting a lot of people upset at him because he was like, I'm the torchbug guy. You want your torchbug? Come to me, you get a torchbug. And, you know, it's like, oh, this cool, unique little item that's super rare. I really want this, you know, but only so-and-so gets it. And it's like, well, because he's put his time. He's been seen as somebody that they go, I mean, you know what? We like you. We like what you do. So we're going to give you a little bit extra. And that's just basically what the stream team is they enjoy what you provide. They enjoy what you represent as a channel. And then they go, okay, well, because you're awesome, we want you in our Cool Kids crew. And we're going to give you little things to give to your people. And it's not like, oh, you're in a stream team. Hey, guess what? You have to hold on to this stuff and you keep it forever and just give it to your 5 friends. It's you give it to the community.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't like that. They may have not been picked for the team, or how the team was like, oh, they must have missed me. It's like, no, it literally is random. And it's a treat to know that you're streaming a game you enjoy with the community you love, and then the developers are literally investing themselves into the content creators, which is, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
and I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I love it, and I love all the people on the stream team, and that's why, like, I wasn't salty. I'm like, you know what? You work hard, you get rewarded. Like, that's the way things are supposed to work, and every person on that team, look them up. They had struggles streaming, and they worked their butts off, and they got to where they are. And the other thing, too, and I know this sounds so silly, you can open up 2 tabs. You can go watch the guy doing his giveaway, and you can go watch a smaller streamer you're supporting. I feel like so many people are like, I only can watch one streamer at a time. Like, no, you don't have to. Like, watch a couple. Like, I always tell people, I've streamed with some people, or I've done this podcast with people who are going to stream right after, and I say, guys, there's this thing called 2 tabs. You can open up 2 tabs, and you can support everyone you want to. And so, it's not, I don't think it's that big a deal, and I think it gives the community a chance to come to Twitch for people who haven't, and ESO said, hey, these people are really good representatives of what our community's about. So, I don't see the problem, I guess.
I mean, if you let people walk all over you, they're going to complain that you're too bumpy for the road. They're going to be like, yo, you need to be flat. But with the drops, I think that's super good for the directory as a whole, because I skimmed through it to see people on the top of the boards and the bottom to see, hey, there's people like spread out everywhere here, and that's super awesome that, it's for everyone. I think it'd be super silly if it was like, oh, only drops for the stream team. It's like, no, in fact, don't do that. Put it everywhere, and they did, and I think that's awesome, because then the directory comes to life and it gets higher on Twitch, and then people are like, what's this game? Let me check this out. Oh, hey, this seems like a cool game. That guy's stabbing stuff in the face. What's that do? Hey, buddy, I'm new to your stream. Blah, 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 blah. Game, should I get this? And I always say, yes. And then they're like, yeah, cool. And then, then you get somebody who else gets in the game. It's not like I'm being on stream team. I don't get paid from ZOS. I don't, I get fun little benefits that I give to you guys. None of this is going to benefit me in the whole, like, I'm not like, oh, tax write-off. Oh, you guys, haha, money. No, it's like, hey, I can now give you guys stuff instead of going broke trying to buy stuff for you from the crown store to give away. I think that's super awesome. I also think the crown gifting is pretty cool. But it's super good for the whole directory when everyone gets drops, because it puts it up higher. People check it out, then gets more people in there, and the community just grows from there.
Yeah, and again, right back to the thing, people open up more streams because they want to get those drops. Every stream you open up and you hang out in for a little bit, you get some drops. So what I do when there's drops, and I find a lot of new small streamers, and I say, hey, what's going on? Happy to see you streaming. And then I go play ESO and kind of give the hard lurk for a little bit, then go type a little bit. And like you said, it just grows the community. More people come and hang out in the whole directory. No matter who they pick, like, the ESO community is a team together. We're all trying to make the game survive. And we're like, when one person's doing great, that's awesome. No one else should be jealous. They should be like, all right, that person did it. Now how do I do that? Like, how hard do I have to work? So it's not, I don't know. I don't like the competition some streamers put in between each other, and I just think it's kind of silly.
Well, it's a necessity, though, because we're all a business. We're all an independent business. But at the same time, we're all part of the same directory. So there has to be some kind of understanding between each other, even if it's like, oh, I don't like so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's cool. That's cool. But you can say that behind closed doors. You can just chill and just continue on your day. But yeah, like, some people, they try to draw lines. It's like, no, let's just be more chill. I mean, like, it's pretty crazy how I don't want to say this circle, but like for a while it was only certain streamers in the directory were contacting each other or like chilling, and now it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, where everyone's now getting, in each other's community, everyone's known, like, hey, so and so, I know you, like you'll go in like Ninja's chat and they'll be like, hey, Snowstorm, what's up? Hey, I know you. And it's like, hey, that's super cool. Yeah. You're becoming a more commonplace name for everyone in who may not have seen you.
Yeah, it's
that's
awesome.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, and people will ask, and they'll be like, so like, how do you grow your stream? And I'm like, you just need to like you said before, like the stream started, we need to have fun. You need to have fun. People need to see you having fun, and you just like build your community off whatever you love in ESO. Some people build it off role playing, some people build it off PvP, some people build it off housing, and just focus on you. Don't focus on everyone else around you. So, wait,
you have fun?
Sometimes when I'm watching you, not really, but myself sometimes. Yeah, I try to enjoy myself.
No one told me we're allowed to have fun with this.
No, it's work. It's just hard, cold work.
That's that I'm going to Fortnite.
You said that today and it killed me. But
that's just a joke.
No, it's fair, dude. I Fortnite blows me away, but we'll talk about that in a hot minute. So I also want to talk about, we talked about what you love as a community. If there was one thing you could change, or one thing that kind of rubbed you the wrong way with ESO, if there's nothing, that's completely fine, but I feel like everyone has like that one gripe, and I'll tell you mine after, but is there anything, if you could just like change about the game, you would?
Modifiable UI for console UI.
So being able to like move things around in the UI so it could be the
Let me adjust the size, let me put them in different places, let me adjust things how I want, and let me remap my buttons. Of course, you could be like, go mouse and keyboard. Shush. I want to use my controller. Let me remap my controller. Let me adjust the UI scaling. That's what I would love. If I could only pick one thing, I'm gonna decide with the people who play controllers. Go with that.
That would be awesome, especially there's some things you have to go digging for. Trust me, I'm new to mouse and keyboard. Going to find like the group finder, or going to find just your group and then making someone leader, you got to go into like 4 different tabs. It's like, oh god, and at first, for new people, that's hard to adjust to. It looks a lot like Skyrim, and I understand what they were doing. They're like, alright, let's make it look kind of like Skyrim, so it's familiar, but I feel like it could be set up better and personalized for different people. So that's actually a really, really good one. I hadn't heard that one yet, so...
You're welcome.
Honestly, I don't know what my thing would be. My thing would just be, and I know it sounds bad, but like more bug fixes, especially for console. At least on Xbox, there's been a lot of struggle, and I feel like a lot of people leave the game just because it doesn't work correctly all the time, and some people get so triggered that they leave. Do I agree with that? No, but I think if like ZOS came out and said, hey, for this DLC we're coming out, it's going to be a smaller DLC, and we're going to focus a lot on a big patch for a lot of bugs. Now, that could just create more bugs, but I feel like it would spark enough excitement with older players that they might come back. I don't know how you feel about that, but it's one of the things I think would actually be really good.
3 weeks ago, they talked about that, actually. About one of the new leads they had, they brought in to... What was his title? I forget his title, but basically he's in charge of the teams that like focus on these bugs and these issues. And he was telling everybody that they're well aware that there's these bugs, but some of them, like, you'll see certain bugs happen here and there, and it's under a specific circumstance that this bug happens. And they're trying to fix it, and they're trying to replicate it, and it's just like something that's super hard. And they have like a list on high priority, low priority. And when you fix one thing, you can inadvertently screw everything up above it and below it. So it's very, like, I think the way they have the game and how they have it constantly switching instances is very hard to isolate the bugs, since it's not single server based like a typical MMO. Like, since I'm not on server Vivek and you're on server Akatosh, there it would be like, oh, okay, we can scale these problems down because it's a singular type of server that has X amount of people limited to it. But since it's constantly changing instances, I think that's what makes it harder for them to actually nail down, specifically in PvP, since that's all over the place. Even though those are campaigns that are separate, the way that the instances are loading and how you can fall through the planet, infinite run bugs, just weird things that they're just like, we're trying to figure this out, but you ran at the hill at this proper angle at this time, and the server tick clicked, and then it put you in this part, and then it was like, I don't know where you're at, so it just dropped you to the ground, and you're just like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, sometimes the bugs are so specific. Like you said, it's like you gotta take a toothpick to something they might try to fix with a sledgehammer, and it might break 10 different things. So, completely fair. I think the other thing that would be cool would be add-ons in console. In some way, I actually made a video where it talked about like maybe each DLC just implement like one add-on, like a usable mini-map you could turn on and off that you could put on, or a combat metric sort of thing, because a lot of DPS don't know how much damage they're actually doing, and it's, you know, some people can't parse very well. I'm not one of those people, but some people struggle. So those are some other things that I've talked about before.
They could. I mean, we've talked about it in the community a lot about, like, you have one character that's completed the achievement for finding every sky shard in the game. I don't know if you have one, but my main on PS4 has every sky shard. Literally has this guy. I can purchase them. And they should unlock it for all your other characters and show it visible on the map at least. Like, hey, it's over here. Instead of you're like, okay, let me pull up this screen or pull up my phone and then go for it. I think that, as well as the lore books, finding up to Mages Guild 10 should unlock all of them for your characters to wander around and go, oh, look, it's over here. I think those could be implemented in the game, but I also don't know if there's like console limitations that don't allow it. Specifically, yeah. I know minimaps, the ones that you see, the add-ons, they're using the info that's actually built into the game. People didn't add that themselves. They're literally pulling it out and like, oh, look, we're activating it. The reason they took it out is because it's such a massive strain on the CPU, or it was. People have been getting better at them. For you to utilize them, and I think that if they had it in minimaps on console, it would just further create issues with lag, specifically lag on the consoles, because consoles they need to be updated.
No, 100%, and that was always like the rebuttal to my thing is, you know, what can the console actually do and have the game still run properly? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but on Xbox, my old Xbox One, it struggles on some things. PvP is always a push for it. Big group events are always a push, and it starts to drop frames and will crash. So adding mini-maps may not be the best idea, and adding those plugins may not be the best idea. But I know a lot of console players who feel trapped because they don't have that nice PC yet, and they see a lot of things the PC players can do, and they're like, damn, I wish I just could see every lore book on the corner of my screen instead of having my phone down here going on hold every 5 minutes because it's taking me forever to find the book and it's not in the exact spot that it's supposed to be. So,
definitely.
But the last thing, well, not the last thing, I guess one of the last things about ESO was, for some reason, I don't know why this is, but you're known as a good player in the community. I've watched you, and as you said to me, you think I'm trash, I think you're trash. But if you had any tips to give new incoming ESO players, like what would be like that one tip when they come in? Like what should they do to like just kind of get a grip on the game? What's one thing that's important?
Take it slow. Don't rush. Endgame will be there. Endgame will always be there. Don't worry about it. Learn your character. Quest. Enjoy the game. Get the XP. Kill things in the game. See what happens when you press this button. Go punch that guy with 3 million health. Oh, he killed you. Learn from that. That's one thing that new players need to do. There's always this sense of rush. They have to get to endgame. They have to get to, how can I get to max level? How can I get to max CP? How can I get to this? And my response is always, play the game. They don't like it. They want to get there in an hour. Sorry, can't happen, buddy. If you're brand new, pump your brakes, relax, enjoy the game.
Yeah, it's one of the most frequent asked questions I get is, how do I get to endgame? How do I get to 780? And I'm like, if there was a quick way, I would tell everyone, because there's not. My tip is find people around your level and level with them, because then it doesn't feel as much of a grind. You're kind of going through it together. Like, I had a group of friends on Xbox, and we were always right around the same 20 CP. So we were always doing, like, new things together, like beating certain dungeons. So I think that's huge, just finding people to play with. Because when you're playing with people who are so much higher level than you, you're like, crap, how do I get here this fast? How do I get here this fast? So...
Oh yeah, I mean, I showed it on stream. I made a mag blade on PS4. In 3 days, I was level 50 by questing. Literally questing in dungeons. I was level 50. And I was like, it's 3 days. And all I did was finish Stonefalls, got halfway into Sean. I was done. I was like, boom, 50. And everyone's like, oh my god, that's crazy. I was like, no, it's not. It's literally, the game throws XP at you. You just have to be there to catch it.
That's a good way of putting it. Especially with like the daily rewards now and stuff. Like I just got the 3 150 XP scrolls. It's like, wow, that's a huge boost. It's like, that's really nice. They're trying to help people get there.
Yes, they are. They know that the CP grind towards the end of it, like let's say you're mid-tier CP, you're like 400, you're like, 780. Well, sorry, buddy, 810's around the corner, so you need to catch up. Here's a couple 150 XP scrolls, but you gotta use those wisely. Don't AFK into Sean, popping a scroll. You're burning a scroll, you're burning daylight. Pop it for your daily dungeon, your daily BG, and then go do some dailies, writ dailies, or any dailies, anything to constantly have that flow of XP. And you're going to be like, damn, when you're done. And everyone's going to be like, oh, look at you. You got like 20, 30 CP today. And at 400, that's impressive.
Exactly. That's, yeah. And that's a great tip. So, you get an A+ on that question, Milk. Congratulations. So now we kind of touched on a little bit, but what got you into streaming? What was like, maybe I should play this, maybe I should do this? You kind of touched on about people helping you, but was there anything else that kind of excited you about getting into streaming?
Well, actually, I got into streaming because I couldn't do YouTube.
Okay.
A long time ago, I was watching... okay, I'm going to tell you this story. This is a long time. This is Skyrim era. And I remember I was on my computer and I was looking at a video on YouTube of this guy who was trying to show you how to do this specific potion in Skyrim. And I was watching this video and he was like, so it's, God, what is it? Hold on. And he's walking around in his little house in Whiterun. And I'm like, this guy didn't have all this stuff prepped. And he was like opening drawers and he was like, it's not here. Where'd I put it? And he was back and forth. I was all, this is a horrible video. This guy has no idea what he's doing. You know what? I want to make videos. So then I got my computer, built it, got my capture cards, got everything I needed. And then I was like, I don't know how to edit. This is awkward. Okay, well, And then I learned about this thing called Justin TV. And I was like, what's this? I can play video games at home and broadcast them. This is cool. And so I started streaming when it was before Twitch became Twitch, when it was Justin TV. And I was like, this is fun. It was my Xbox and I was having a blast and I had no mic. I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And I just kept dabbling into it until I got better at it. And I went from Xbox to like my PS4. And then I was doing, I started streaming from the PS4 Destiny. And that didn't go anywhere. And I was like, meh. And then I tried Final Fantasy 14 and I was with that for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's when it really cemented me into streaming. and enjoying streaming and having fun with it and figuring it out. And that was from the console. I was streaming off my PlayStation.
Yep.
And because I had an issue with my capture card, I didn't know I had an issue because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But when I figured it out, then I was like, I'm streaming through PC. Done. And then I was able to do like the overlays and have music, and I was like, this is awesome. And that's when when it took off, and I had fun with it because it's great. It feels like you're making friends every day, you're playing video games with them, you're BSing with them, and everyone's just having a good time. And that's why I was like, this is really cool. It was way more fun than like, hey, oh yo, it's your boy Milk with the new video coming to you live. Be sure to like, comment, all that stuff. Like it's interactive, and that's something that makes streaming to me way better than just dropping a video and being like, oh, I'll talk to you in a comment in an hour or a year.
Yeah, or get all the hate in the comments. Well, when it's in person, you can address the hate very easily, and I feel like it's less toxic than YouTube comments. So
it can be.
But yeah, that I did YouTube and just nothing happened. So I did it for about a year and didn't see anything. And I'm like, eh. And then I was playing on Xbox, and I actually just started streaming because I didn't have a capture card. So I would stream it and then take a video capture program on my computer and capture the stream and then put it on YouTube. I didn't even think about just extracting it like Twitch lets you do, because I was scrubbing like a champ. So, I mean, humble beginnings, I guess. And then, so you did Final Fantasy, and then you decided, nah, not Final Fantasy, and you decided streaming ESO?
Yeah, Final Fantasy, I was streaming that for ages, and I had built a decent following with it, but I had reached a point in the game where I just wasn't having fun. I would sit there and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do in this game today. You know what, guys, I'm just not gonna play this today. And then I actually took 2 months off streaming. I didn't stream at all, and then I went back into the Destiny thing, and then I was like doing raid Sherpas for that, and that was fun. But the Destiny community is like very, very like closed. Like it's you're either someone or you're no one.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, well that's the thing. And then I was like, you know what? I want to play an MMO. I want to get back into it, but I don't want to go to Final Fantasy 14. Let's check out ESO again. Then I started playing it, and then I started, you know what? I'm gonna stream it, and then it just took off from there. And that's what I had stuck with.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it, like people are saying in chat, definitely do what you want to do. It's commendable, because when you build up a little bit of following in a game, it's very scary to be like, oh, what if I switch games? Oh, I want to switch games, but what if no one watches? Does a stream, is that important to me, or do I care more about the game? And sometimes I've talked to people, you have to like kind of balance it, and I appreciate just the, nah, screw it, I'm gonna go play a different game. So that's good, dude. That's the way to do it. Like you said, having fun. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you get burnt out a little bit, like there was that day where I was like, you know what, like I had a really rough time in VMM. Well, screw this, I'm buying Detroit, and I played Detroit, and sure, like 10 people watched me, but I was like, this is crazy, this is such a fun game. Or I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna play The Witcher today. I'm gonna play The Witcher, and of course Bretzel's there, and I love Bretzel because he's always like, yes, The Witcher, finally. But it's just having fun with it, and sometimes it's like, what do I want to do in this game today? Or I'm gonna take this day and play a random game just for fun, just to blow off a little bit of steam and not be like, oh. It's very interesting. It's fun to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough, like you said, only 10 people watch, and I just have to again appreciate just like the no craps given. It's the way to go about it. You got to do what makes you happy, and if like, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's such a true point to streamers, and it's something that I just feel like I lose sight of a lot. So I appreciate hearing it. It's like, oh yeah, this is actually a thing, and you should like do this so you don't burn yourself out. But that goes into the question of like, are there other games you like to stream besides ESO at the moment, or are you like solely in ESO?
Right now I'm solely in ESO because there's nothing really on the market. If there's a game that I'm interested in, I literally will watch Dan's Gaming or Admiral Baru, and I'll be like, I don't need to play that game anymore. It wasn't, I was like, I got my fill of it. But there's really nothing out there that I want to actively stream right now. There's games that I do play offline when I'm not streaming, and it's not ESO. Like I was playing No Man's Sky for a little bit, but okay. It's just like it's something a little different. But as far as like, I really just enjoy the community of ESO and coming in every day and faffing around with everybody. So it keeps it fresh for me every day.
No, yeah, and there's definitely games I play off stream as well. I'm like a huge Madden fan, and like I'm like I can't stream this. I just rage. It's not worth it. I just gotta sit there and get mad. I'm like, God damn it! How'd I get intercepted again? God damn it! So that's fair. That's fair. Are there any games that you're looking forward to coming up?
Only Cyberpunk 2077. Just maybe I'll check out Anthem.
No
Red Dead. No, because I wasn't a big fan of Red Dead. I played Redemption for like 4 hours, and I was like, you know what? This is boring. Don't get me wrong. It was beautifully done for the time. The environments were amazing, but I just was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like everyone's like, oh my god, Red Dead, Red Dead. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
It feels bare.
Okay.
It feels very bare. The space in between cities, it just feels like there's bandits and coyotes. You're like,
Well,
okay.
I mean, during that era, that's kind of how it was.
That's
Like
fair.
you were lucky if you were out and you got lost. If you were like, I hope I find a town or a house or something. But yeah, people have that love for that franchise, which is awesome, and they have an online component, which I'm like, are they gonna GTA it? Like, hey, you want to buy your shark cards? I mean, I guess I'll call them buffalo cards or something. I don't know. Like, hey, you want to buy $1 million buffalo bucks? It's like, how much? $60,000. I'm cool. No, thank you.
Thank you, but no thank you.
You want this custom horse and has a wing on it, chrome? It's like, no, stop. Parachute, stop.
Yeah, the other one, Fallout 76, are you not a Fallout fan? Because me personally, I was talking, again, to Kev yesterday. It's funny how I've kind of recycled topics, but I'm not a big Fallout fan. I'm just not a big post-apocalyptic guy. So I'm like, 76 sounds cool, looks cool, but I'll probably still be playing ESO. I was wondering if you were excited for it.
Oh, I love the Fallout franchise. I love it. It's not so much apocalyptic, but again, it's choose your own adventure.
Yep.
You can extremely RP in it, and that's what I love about it. 76 is like a survival game. I don't do survivals. I'll never do BG. I'll never, or not. What is it? Battlegrounds?
Battlegrounds? Yeah, unknown player Battlegrounds.
PUBG. I'll never do a PUBG. I'll never do a Fortnite. I'll never do a Ring of Elysium or whatever they call it. That's just not my thing. Because I like to, if I'm going to play a Fallout universe, I want to get immersed in it instead of worrying about no scope 360 headbanger killed you and is teabagging you as he's stealing all of your loot, and you're like, oh, cool, thanks. Really appreciate that. Awesome.
That's fair. That's fair. I just feel like with those games, the stream snipers are real. The community can be kind of toxic sometimes if you're not doing it the way they think it's right. So that's just my opinion. We're almost out of time, but there's one more thing we need to talk about, Milk, and that is the voices. You don't need to do any of them, but have you always been doing voices? Like, has this just been something that's been going on since the day you came out, or is this something you decided, hey, I'm going to do voices because they sound pretty good on stream? Because me personally, I think they're freaking hilarious, and the community does as well, but...
That, the voices thing is actually from my mom. She used to do this one voice, or she still does every now and then, that we named Fluffy T Squirrel. And it's just a higher pitched version of her voice that sounds like a small creature. And as a kid, I would mimic her, and then I would see like things on TV and go, I want to try that voice. And then I remember as a kid, I saw Jim Carrey on an interview, and he was talking about like, if you ever hear, the way I got to where I was is I was practicing in a mirror silly voices and faces, and I was like, oh, so people do practice silly voices. And I just started going with it and trying to see if I can mimic a voice. Like my Solid Snake used well, it kind of goes back and forth. I try to do a Solid Snake, and then it turned into like the movie guy, but then sometimes it can come out as a decent snake, but it just goes back and forth. Like I'll hear a voice and I'll try to imitate it over and over. And the game has an abundance of voices that I just love to copy. Like I'll do like my Zelner is nowhere as good as the real Zelner in the game, but I love Zelner as a character, so I try to do that voice. I'll do my Arnold voice to get people pumped about what they're doing, because the way he says pump, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, I try to do, I've been doing voices for as long as I remember, and I just always thought it was fun. Like, hey, look, I'm gonna do this voice. Check it out.
It adds a nice flavor to your stream, and I personally love anytime you do the Khajiit, but my favorite one is when you do, like, the Raging Nerd. I don't know if you have a name for that one, but when you just get, like, so mad and, like, you kind of imitate someone who's giving you a tough time. Like, Milk didn't do this correctly. Like, you just kill that one. I cry laughing. It's so funny.
The slurp. You have to, like...
Well, Studioz invited me to a podcast, and then he kicked me off.
And like that voice comes from like the rage of Reddit and like
yeah.
the people in it. But you have to slurp first because you got to push your glasses up. And yes, I wear glasses. If you guys don't know, I'm streaming, I wear glasses when I stream. But that voice is a funny one because it started off of that like Freund-Laven guy from The Simpsons who was mimicking. I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he has like a foundation that helps kids or whatever. But that one, I made it a little more annoying. My girlfriend hates that voice. It's hilarious. But I made it way more annoying because it represents, in my opinion, the toxicity and like the anger of the gaming community when they're like,
Don't hit that button, stupid. Guys are so dumb.
and it's just like, hey, dude, pump your brakes. And you can see them behind the keyboard smashing it with their Cheetos encrusted fingers. And you're just like, dude, wash those hands.
Don't tell me what to do. You're not my mom, Dad.
And you gotta, you add that slur because, they're just so angry and foaming at the mouth. They're just like, calm down. But like, it was funny a while ago. We were doing a Nothing But Ruins of Mazatoon when we were getting motifs and we were getting people's skins. But I remember Rich Lambert, he came in and he was like, all I ever see you do is Mazatoon. And I was just like,
Gayok, he doesn't like it when we play his content.
and actually, I talked to him and Finn about talking to the marketing department to make Zalnur dolls like pull string dolls. So whenever you pull it, be like, Zalnur hates you. And you're like, oh, I love you, Zalnur. And it would just be this cute little plush.
Honestly, you and Kev both have some of the best voices for like different characters, and I've said it before, you guys should try to do a voice for one of the new DLCs if Zoss ever would let you, because I'm sure the community would freak out. They are well done. Have you ever thought about voice acting, or?
I get that a lot, and honestly, from my understanding, my sister has a friend who's in it. You have to know people.
Yep. Yeah, obviously.
And it's just like, well, that's super hard to break in. So, I mean, it's something I do, and I do it for fun. But if it ever became anything, to be awesome. Just because, voice acting, you have to get the acting in behind it. And I think that's something that Kev himself does really well. And it's funny, a long time ago, when I was I'm still a tiny streamer, but when I was even smaller, Kev actually came to my channel because somebody was like, hey man, why are you copying Kev? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, do you know who Kev DeWitt is? And I was like, yeah, he has some funny videos. This dude is great. I love his directing. I love how he cuts when he makes his videos. His editing is amazing. I love it. And I was like, yeah, he's great videos. I love his stuff. And they're like, well, you should stop doing voices because that's his thing. And I was like, you need to pump your brakes, son. Because that means every voice actor on a cartoon series right now has to stop voice acting and get permission from Kev DeWitt. I don't think that's how it works. And then like a week later, Kev DeWitt came to my channel. He was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, wait, are you the real Kev DeWitt? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, dude, awesome. I love your stuff. And then I never saw him again. I was like, okay. And, time comes by and like he'll host me. I'll jump in his channel and be, what's up? And he'll be like, hey, nerd. And I'm like, oh, that's Kev DeWitt. He's awesome. And I would love to do something with Kev DeWitt. In fact, I even joked to him. I was like, we should talk to Zoss to get us as like freelancers to do voices because I think it'd be super fun because he has a massive, library of voices, and I have an okay library, and I think it'd be fun. It's like, yeah, this whole DLC was voiced by 2 people. Just 2.
It would be awesome, even if they did like a trailer or a cutscene, like a trailer cutscene of just like you guys and your characters doing the. I mean, even if you guys just did a video together, it was just my voice, but Kev asked me to be in a couple of videos. I'm like, I'm not a voice actor. I can't do impersonations, but I think, like I said, it's just really fun to listen to and really spices things up. But here's the thing, man. You don't have to look for voice acting because the voices you do is such a staple of your stream and it's obviously working. So, just keep doing what you're doing. I have a feeling it's going to go up.
I'm going to trust you on that, and if it doesn't, I know
I'm going to come back. But, dude,
I'm gonna find you.
We are at our hour, actually a little over it. I want to
You're
thank
welcome.
you. I want to thank you so much for being on, dude. Seriously, it was nice getting to talk to you about this stuff. Nice getting your opinions on some things. Yeah, so thank you for coming, dude.
Well, thanks for having me, dude. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Guys, what I'm going to do, and I did this last night as well, is I'm going to go to the we'll be right back screen. I'm going to get everything set up so we can move over to PC for our normal stream of the night. We're actually going to be doing the Summerfall event. And yeah, guys, if you guys haven't checked out MilkViper here, I'm going to put his link in chat. It's so funny because, like, obviously bigger streamers will come, and it's like, I'm shouting them out because I seriously, like, if you guys enjoy my content, I promise you'll love their content because... Trust me. You gotta trust me here. Everyone who hasn't checked out MilkViper, go check him out. He streams literally all day. He is a champ. I have to commend you. Milk. I get tired about after 3 hours of streaming. So after 3 hours, my voice is kind of sore. My legs are tired. I don't know if you sit when you stream, but I sit. I know a lot of people stand. And it's very tough for me to go much longer. So when I see you still going, I'm like, damn, dude, this guy, he's got endurance. Maybe that's something we'll have to talk about when you come back, when I force you to come back.
For sure.
So, guys, I will catch you all in about 3 minutes, and I'll see you then.